start. Except I'm not going to do anything with that URL I copied.
I finished the Titan last night.
Oh, nice.
You.
We are live, I believe.
Struggle mode.
Possibly.
I got live over here.
Probably. Possibly. Oh, dang. We got lots of chat so far.
I'm just about to switch over there. I posted on the fan page and the Instagram page. You think I need to go anywhere else with it?
No.
Okay.
You can share it on the DD page. Are you an admin there?
I think so. Let me look.
I was hoping you'd say no, and then I'd be like, that sucks.
Idiot. Jump. Let's see.
All right.
Yep,
Okay.
I am.
All right.
Nice.
Someone says, Danny, if you're not wearing a bald cap, I will be so mad.
Or just actually shave.
Are you talking about the head or the stash? Because one of them we have issues. The other one is cool.
Yes.
All right.
Just blanket statement.
Blanket statement, yes. We weren't going to have issues either way, but, you know.
Well.
All right.
All right.
We're posted on all of it.
Welcome to Disc Golf Answer Man, everybody. This is the.
What's up?
I'm going to switch to the 3 screen. I figured out how to do this.
Wow, Bobby's workouts are really changing his look. That's solid. Dude, Kevin Gleason, hashtag Team Warden, my man. Welcome.
My man.
I think all 3 of us are Team Warden, actually.
Dude, yeah,
impressive.
we are.
So finally.
About
if we get
time.
any questions about putters, we're going to get them right.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how that goes.
Gonna nail it.
It's just who can say Warden first.
So if you guys, it's your first time tuning in, this is the live broadcast of our recording session for Disc Golf Answer Man. I'm not sure if Bobby's going to keep this one as episode 248. He might just post it as the live thing. So the title might change later on. But this is what it is for now. And we're going to start recording in a bit, but we're going to start with just interacting with the chat a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you play any disc golf this weekend?
I did not. I played golf this weekend. Like I know, that's actually the response I get a whole lot. Why would you do that?
What a mistake.
I've honestly really been enjoying like a break from disc golf. When I do that, I find when I come back to disc golf, I'm stoked about it. And I'm like, all right, let's get it.
Plus, it's kind of like playing with a medicine ball because golf is super hard.
Oh, it's so hard.
And when you're 1,000 rated, disc golf is kind of easy.
Oh, it's less hard. It's less hard than golf. Yeah, I shot a 96 and a 92 this weekend, which isn't like really bad, but let's get real for a second. There are still plenty of shots that I'm dropping and missing and all that stuff, and so yeah, it's fun to get to be back playing disc golf, and I might go play some this weekend. We'll see.
All right.
How about you guys?
I played a lot of disc golf.
Yeah, dude.
For me.
I drove by while you were playing at Tech College.
Did you see it?
Yelled at you.
Parked it.
Yep.
Sort of.
You did park it.
Which hole? All of them?
7.
Yeah, that's
7.
right.
Nice.
7. Well, also all of them.
Also,
Definitely.
Which hole? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Just pick one. And then I played Hops and Heisers earlier in the day before that, and I won -$1.
Nice.
So,
but
pretty sweet.
It wasn't all of the dollars that you
I
lost.
didn't lose $1 million.
So
Just not a bad weekend's work.
let's see. I overslept for Hops and Heisers. It's at 11 o'clock, and I still can't wake up in time. So
You're gonna want to work on it.
So I ended up playing East a little bit later in the day. And that was a lot of fun. East is a great course.
I love that, man. That's kind of like my default course here. Just if I'm gonna go play somewhere, usually it's there.
It's my favorite course in the world, and it's right outside.
Yeah, it's really good.
So what nicknames do I call you? Do I call you guys? Because we have like Bobby always says like Robert.
Yeah.
Something.
I don't know. It's up to you.
I think the fun of that is
totally
that
up to
Bobby
you.
makes it up
It's spontaneous.
On the spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Chris says, any golf aces yet? Chris, not a chance. On God's green earth.
Not
have
a
I
chance.
gotten a hole in one
But we
playing
know
golf?
Chris that did.
Yeah, Chris did.
Cool.
He got a hole in one on one of the par fours out there, which is pretty cool. I've actually put one my divot or my ball mark that when it hit the green was about 6 inches in front of the hole, and it settled like 3 feet behind the hole, which would have been super sweet. But I mean, I made birdie, which was nice, which is very rare for me. That's like birdies are like 1 in every 5 or 6 rounds for me at this point. So anyway, that was pretty cool.
Do we have any questions on the board about these discs that are in front of?
There's a few people, they said, can I be the first to team Keystone?
All right.
We'll see, Roger. Don't
how
know on
perfectly
that.
those lined up on the cuts there.
Oh yeah, that looks actually really nice. Well done there, Dan.
It's different discs.
Yeah,
but it looks
that's
like
right.
it's just
There's
one.
They don't need to know that.
Here and then
Favorite course in Massachusetts besides Maple Hill? Have either of you guys played in Massachusetts?
Mm-mm.
I have only thrown the first couple of holes of Maple Hill, so one of these days I'd like
I
to.
hear there's like a course across the street. Oh no, is that Marshall
Pyramids,
Street?
right?
Marshall Street is where Pyramids is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it looks pretty cool.
Nice.
Matthew says Danny's a party animal, so
Decidedly not.
Facts.
nailed it. He also says Bobby looks cute today, so you did it, man.
That's the most subtle wink I can do.
That-
It's
that's
still
right,
like
that's right.
half of my
That's
face,
right.
but whatever.
Chris says 10:03 handicap. No, I'm usually in like the low 90s. If I'm into the 80s, that means I'm playing well. Most of the time I'm under 100, but sometimes I'm not. So if I had to like actually give myself a real handicap, we play on a par 71. I'm probably around like a 20.
So
A lot.
someone like
A
me
million.
who has played golf literally one time,
Yeah.
like what would I shoot?
And it
Just to put in
it
perspective,
really depends.
what's a 90?
150 maybe.
I
If
mean, you're probably into the 120s or 30s, I would think. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so I'm just really bad.
No, I
'Cause
mean,
I
I
shot
think
150.
I think that's totally reasonable.
To be clear, that's with several mulligans.
Yeah,
and
for
many
sure.
clubs lost.
Oh,
For sure.
that would be
Clubs just from throwing them into the woods. When I first started playing, I was regularly in the hundreds because I can hit the ball straight enough sometimes.
I can hit the ball straight for like the first 2/3 of the flight,
And
and
then
then
it's
it
just, like,
usually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm a decent putter, which is kind of like really great to have in golf.
it helps.
But I'm like kind of bad at most of the other stuff. So, whatever. I enjoy it. I like it because it's challenging. And like you said, when I come back to disc golf, it's like, hey, this is easier than that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Should we start recording or keep?
yeah,
going
let's
with the
let's get after it.
I'm not sure how long y'all talk about non-disc golf things. Before
I mean,
talking.
just kind of whatever.
It's the whole podcast generally.
Yeah, not disc golf. Joe Dirt says, why is there no long drive contest at GBO? Jake Hebenheimer and Grady Shue can both drop bombs. Great question, Joe. I think it's just because we have so many things going on at GBO. There's when we look at the schedule, it's just thing after thing
It's
after thing
packed.
after thing. So
And I don't think after playing the country club, the big arms are going to want to go throw as hard as they can.
Right.
Again.
right. So
There was another good question. It says, do you guys prefer to force over an overstable disc on an ante line, or do you throw like a captain in order to get right? Like hole 1 at Ledgestone, what do you prefer to throw?
nice. What did you throw on one at Ledgestone?
Bio Enforcer.
'Kay.
Kind of in between overstable and straight. I just threw it flat because I knew it would work right and come back.
I threw Ballista Pro,
So
and same sort of thing. Let it move a little bit. I landed in bounds every time, but 2 of the times I was like right on the top of the hill, so just barely in bounds. But like a perfect approach angle, like if you, unless you're going to be at the very bottom of the hill, if you're going to walk up and drop the disc where you wanted, that's where you'd want to drop it. You just don't want to have to throw the shot that gets you there, and I did on accident.
You're not aiming there.
No. I was aiming well past that. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Anthony and I are out of focus
Oh
there.
gosh,
Maybe I did too much moving.
Wait, what?
we back.
It
We
looked
just went
we were
super
out of focus.
I can't control any of that from here.
Yeah, that's all
so-
good. Yeah, let's start it off. Let's do
All
it.
right. I gotta make sure. How do I do this right? Oh, jeez.
You're gonna want to press the button.
And then
Press it again.
there it is.
The red.
Okay, now it's recording again.
Yeah.
All right. I've been practicing this, so I should be okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hey everybody, welcome to Disc Golf Answer Man. I am decidedly not Bobby Cool, Daddy Slick Breeze. I am Danny Lindahl. I am one of Bobby's underlings. I am here with another one of Bobby's underlings, Anthony Van Den
Robert
Heuvel,
McCall.
Oh wait, what?
and Robert McCall.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I also don't come up with nicknames,
Yeah.
so sorry about you.
If you're an underling, you don't have nickname privileges yet.
And Bobby is out of town. He is. It's actually his birthday today,
birthday, yeah.
according to Facebook. He is out of town on vacation, so we are taking over Answer Man for this week for episode 248 here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess how have you been doing?
Yeah, life's good, man.
Life's good. It's kind of cold here. It's been getting nicer.
It's been real nice.
This weekend was super nice, which
yeah.
is awesome. For Emporia, we usually have pretty gross winters, at least in the 2 winters that I've been here. Plenty of snow and well below freezing temperatures, and we didn't have a ton of those this year.
No.
Not many in the negatives, if any. I remember.
The big difference is the wind.
The wind will kill you.
You've got to break it.
Yeah.
You've got to break the wind.
Yeah.
With a windbreaker, to be clear.
I was going to say, luckily for you at the Dynamic Disc Retest. I'm just kidding. But yeah, the wind will absolutely get you. When it is 32 outside and it's windy, it feels like you're going to die. But it could be 25 and not windy, and you're like, hey, this is reasonable. So anyway, life's good for me. What about you, Anthony?
Wonderful. I played disc golf in a T-shirt this weekend, and I was not cold. So doesn't
Very
get
nice.
better than that for early January.
Very nice. I had something I was going to talk about, and I completely forgot it. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions.
We'll sprinkle in some extra
Oh.
non-disc golf talk for you guys who like the non-disc golf.
Yeah, this
talk
is going to be a little
later.
different. I exclusively like talking about disc golf,
I like talking about disc golf like 80%.
so we're probably going to mix it up.
I'm probably 20% disc golf, 80% not.
Nice. All right.
All right.
Let's just
Between the three of us,
cut straight to tacos.
Something,
be
something,
safe.
Torchy's Tacos. Yeah, we'll be said.
something, torch easy back truth. Move on.
We also have some discs here on the table,
Yeah.
if you're watching, that we are going to talk about later. But let's start out with some questions. And if I were Bobby, I would know how to do the doom, 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 doom song.
Uh-huh.
Just imagine that's playing, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So this first question is from Glenn.
Nice.
Hey, Disc Golf Answer Man. Love the show. Just had a quick question for you. Me and my friend were doing an upshot today on a hole, and we were about 140 feet out. The basket was in a group of trees, and clearly some limbs had fallen around this hole. And the people who do maintenance in the park had placed all these branches in a pile 15 feet from the basket, but right in front of the basket from where you're throwing from the fairway. And so it was an obstacle you had to throw over also. So since this was clearly fallen branches that maintenance had just piled up, I wanted to move them before we threw. But my playing partner said you can't move anything in front of you, which I understand the basic rule, but it just seems like this is clearly a maintenance issue where somebody has left dead branches in a pile in the way and they're not supposed to be there. And so I was just wondering, I believe you could move them because they're not supposed to be there. And he says, nope, somebody put them there, but now they're there. You just have to avoid that. If you could help me with the rules.
And that's it.
That's it.
All right. We can help you with
You
the
can
rules.
crank that back down now. So
That's
that,
probably a good idea.
yeah,
We're
sweet.
going to get like a notification.
Yeah.
Ding.
Okay.
Everyone's deaf.
So there's actually a rule change on this year, but it doesn't really apply to this situation. So the rule change in the past has been that you could move something that is on your lie or directly behind it if it is dead and unattached. Now they've extended that to say if part of that obstruction is on your lie, even if some of it extends in front of your lie, then you can move it out of the way as long as it is dead and unattached. Now, like you said, you're 140 feet from the basket, and there's that brush pile 15 feet from the basket. None of that is on your lie, so you legally would not be able to move that. I will agree with you. That sucks. And it's unfortunate that the maintenance crew who was supposed to take care of that didn't. But if this was a tournament, everybody has to play it that same way. Unless somebody's disc lands right like underneath that
Directly
pile,
there, yeah.
then they would move some of it. But otherwise, you just kind of have to play it, and it's not much fun.
For those of you wondering, the rule is Rule 803.01 and B. And it says a player is not allowed to move any obstacles on the course with the following exceptions. A player may move casual obstacles that are partially or completely on the lie or in the stance area. So I wonder how that applies to straddle putts.
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Anyway,
If you could take a straight-on stance, but you choose to straddle,
just to get the stick out
could
of the
you
way.
move that? Yeah.
Like if your disc lands underneath the pile, could you clear out everything there because you could technically straddle and still kick it?
Huh. I wonder. I would have to assume that they would say the stance really is mostly predicated on the foot behind the disc. So if it interviews, new jobs. If it interferes with that area, maybe that's what they're. I don't know. That's I think there's some a bit of.
Interpretation.
Yeah, that's
based
the
on the
word I was looking
situation.
for, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
feel
we're
like it would.
supposed to- Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like it would have to be, like if it's the only option. If you have the option to take a straight on stance and be fine versus straddle and be in it, then I think you probably wouldn't be able to. You would just have to take the straight on stance because then it's not required.
I think we
move
should
it?
all flamingo every putt. Just left
Everyone,
foot in
yeah.
the air.
One foot only.
Good point.
That's all you can do. Okay, I'm supposed to have another question ready. I do.
Okay.
Oh, what? You have a question from there?
I got some.
Let's do one. We're going to switch
Google
over to the
form
question
Okay,
form.
so we've got our first question from Pierce, and he says, "Why do faster discs have a wider rim than slower discs?"
I think it's like a chicken and an egg question. Right?
I think he kind of asked it backwards. almost.
The disc is faster because it has a wider rim. So Danny has done actually a lot of research into why discs act the way that they do, but it doesn't take a super scientist to know that the wider a rim is, the sharper that it has to be once it gets to the edge, based on our technical standards. So that is going to spin faster in the air than something with a more narrow rim. But you can talk a little bit more about
It's
that.
just less wind resistance because you want to have the mass towards the outside so you can grab onto it and you can correctly apply the spin or whatever. And having the putters are going to be, the slower discs are going to be taller. So that's why they're going to, that's where they're going to get their mass from, and they're not going to be very aerodynamic because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the wider rim discs are going to be shallower.
Yep.
And that means that they have to be pointed to keep that mass towards the outside, and that will help them to continue to penetrate through the air.
Yeah. Didn't you say that the amount of weight in the rim on a putter is the same as the amount of weight in the rim on a driver?
Based on rough calculations.
Yeah.
I basically assumed the edges were roughly triangles.
Yeah.
And if you go from the as far as distance from the center, if you measure the mass of a driver all the way to the rim and then a putter all the way to the rim, it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know that one would technically spin faster than the other. Maybe the diameter difference could cause that, but it's not because of more mass or something like that around the outside.
That's interesting. Science. Disc golf science, man.
Approximate science.
Science, man.
Amateur science answer, man.
Unverified science.
What's the thing from Adventure Time? It's the guy's like, oh, I have approximate knowledge of many things.
Oh, I can dig that.
All right.
Dig that.
You got another one for us,
I
Tom?
got another one from Chad, and his is about putting practice. He says, when practicing putting, how important is it to practice with the same mold? Should I practice putting with all of my putters or just the putter I use on the course? Thank you. I thoroughly enjoy the show.
Well, I mean, bunch of Team Warden guys sitting here at the table, so
You're probably going to want 25.
you're going to want to check out the Warden. In all actuality, I think inside about 20, it probably won't matter a whole lot. And if all you're trying to get down is your muscle memory of just doing your same stroke over and over and over, maybe not too bad to putt with different molds. However, when I'm putting, I want to putt with exactly what I'm going to putt with in competition. So I get a stack of Wardens, classic ones, and I go to town. That's what I do.
Yeah. I think, for me, I think it's really important. Like, if I'm practicing putting, I'm more practicing the movements and the motions of it rather than, oh, did it go in? Did it not go in? So for me, it's huge because it just gives that mental feel of like, okay, been there, done that, where I putt with Wardens too, and if I were to practice with judges, then when I get out on the course and I'm using a Warden again, it's going to feel different and everything's going to be off.
Yep.
So I would definitely recommend using, it doesn't have to be the exact putter in your bag. I personally don't putt with my exact putter, but I will use Prime Wardens to practice putt because that's what I use on the course.
Yeah.
If you're looking for another way to phrase this answer, also I agree. You can check out the IGTV for the dynamic discs. We have a few Instagram TV videos out there, and one of them is Robert McCall answering that very question while standing next to a basket. So it's a little more scenic, but basically the same information. I'm trying to keep consistent uploading one of those a week. They should go every Thursday. So keep an eye on the Instagram stories and check out our IGTV to get a lot of Disc Golf Answer Man questions answered.
Stuff.
All right, should we jump back over to the Speak Pipe one? I've got
Let's.
another one here
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
from Frank.
Hey, what's up, DGAM fam? This is Frank from Atlanta. Been playing for about 8 years. Recently took some time off, getting right back into it. Just filled up a bag full of Trilogy plastic. They're flying great.
Nice.
My question is, I've been playing for about 8 years, and I throw with a Bonapane grip because I always had.
Real fast, did he say 80 years?
It sounded like 80. I'm going to assume he meant 8.
It doesn't sound like he's like 96 or something. So
He throws with a
Back
what
when I
grip?
started
Up on it.
playing.
Let's let him finish the
Frisbee.
question, then.
I don't know what.
Nose angle issues, and I was always popping them up, and I can't seem, as hard as I try, I can't seem to keep my front shoulder down enough to get nose down with a conventional grip. But with the Bonapane grip, I get constant nose down, good rip, and constantly over 350 feet with my distance stuff. I think it's because my finger won't wrap comfortably around to put enough pressure. If I put the first finger down under the rim, I can't get enough pressure on the inside of the rim, so it doesn't ever feel like it rips out consistently. My question is, do you think that I could work up to bigger distances with this Bonapane grip, or is it worth it for me to completely redesign how I do it and work from the beginning forward? Anyway, look forward to hearing your answer.
Sweet.
Real quick, do either of y'all know what a Bonapane grip is?
Yes.
Dang it, that was going to be really smart.
Do you? Okay.
I Googled it.
Is that when you put your finger on
Yeah.
top?
So the Bonapane grip, and I assume it's I don't know, named after a person, Bonapane or something like that. I don't know.
Probably.
But what it looks like if you're watching on YouTube, so regular grip, 4 fingers underneath, thumb on top, right? The Bonapane grip is where you bring your index finger up on the top portion of the disc, and it actually goes on top of your thumb. So you're gripping the disc like basically in between the second knuckle of your index finger and the same of your middle finger. And it's just, I don't know, it's really interesting. I've seen a few people throw this grip before. Most of them are throwing it for grenades and stuff like that, but I haven't seen a lot of people use it for backhand drives. Having very limited expertise with that, I can't tell you if that's going to get you more or less distance than a regular power grip. I can say you're probably going to have, I mean, it's not probably, you're definitely going to have one less point of contact under the disc than you would before. So that may create less drag from your fingers coming off, but man, I just haven't thrown that enough to have any idea. How about you guys? Thoughts?
I think having more pressure holding the disc in your hand is going to be better because you're going to be able to hold on to it longer and let your let your arm extend farther, and that's going to be more powerful. You say you can't seem to
he said get his shoulder down enough to get the nose down.
Get the nose down. That's not actually how you want to be throwing to get the nose down. I know when I was struggling with it, I would tend to try and throw the disc at the ground. Like that's got to be nose down because the disc is flying down. But nose down is actually relative to the trajectory of the disc. So in whatever direction the disc is flying, you want it to be angled to where it's flat with that. So even if you're throwing it up, you want to just have it at the same angle as the direction that you're throwing. So rather than tilting your shoulder down, that's going to cause you to dip. And that's what's going to cause that nose up release. So I would encourage you to try a 3-finger power grip. Can I see a disc? Because that helps me. I use just 3 fingers here, like that. I leave my pinky off because that helps me get the disc very nose down. And I would focus on standing up and flexing your wrist down like you're pouring coffee and raising your follow through. Because if the common mistake is a high reach back and a low follow through, and that's going to throw that air skip nose up shot. But if you can lower your reach back and raise your follow through, that's going to match your trajectory to the angle of the disc, and it's going to go pretty high, but it's going to be nose down. And from there, you can learn how to sort of
adjust,
level it out.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Do you use 4-finger power grip or
I
3?
use 4.
Okay.
I've never.
I did for the longest time, and I switched to 3 maybe last year.
Yeah.
And for the same reason, trying to get the nose down a little bit more. I also noticed this is probably just me. I'm sure there aren't a lot of people like this, but when I was holding a power grip kind of like this, and I'm hoping you can see that. There it is. This is better. I was noticing once I got to where I was going to throw the disc, especially on distance drivers, my pinky would just kind of slip off whenever I was getting ready to throw. And so I was like, well, that's kind of annoying. And then I thought to myself, maybe I should just start like this. That seems like a better idea. And so, yeah, I've stuck with 3 fingers since. And then side benefit that honestly I wasn't thinking about at the time was that I think I get the disc a little bit more nose down than I did before.
For sure.
For sure.
All right, let's talk about these discs that are in front of us real quick. Let's take a break from the questions.
Yeah, so
Flipping
these
back
are
over here.
the 2019 new releases from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, and Westside Discs. And you're going to like it. Let's just get it out there. I know that, yes, this is a show put on by Dynamic Discs. We're in the Dynamic Discs Distribution Center. But I can tell you I am a big fan of these discs, and we hope that you will be too. So let's start with the slowest of the discs. We've got 2 putters this year. One of those is the Keystone from Latitude 64. This is going to be the Trilogy Challenge putter as well as U.S. Amateur Match Play Championship, I'm pretty sure. The Keystone feels a little deeper than something like a Deputy, and I think it flies like a slightly more stable Deputy. So it's not, for me, I throw blend Wardens in the spot that I would throw this, but when I was throwing this out in the field, I would just put a little bit of hyzer on it. It would stand up to flat and then just kind of push right. Not turn right hard and dive, but just kind of push and, just a little bit right.
I'd say the stability is right in between a Warden and a Deputy. Like
you
were saying.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. A little bit more hyzer and it would just go straight and straight and straight and straight. It's really, really cool. So the Keystone, I think, is going to be popular in a lot of players' bags for that kind of approach game. I haven't putted it on a basket yet, but it feels pretty comfortable in the hand for me for that. So that's the Latitude 64 Keystone.
It reminds me a lot of a Pure, but like a little bit deeper. I feel like.
Pure's pretty shallow, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got the guard there.
Gourd. Basically, the way
that's
that people...
No, that's pronounced guard, not gourd.
Oh.
We're sticking with the judicial theme. We're not switching over to
I thought we were going like
foods.
harvest, fall.
It's a fall theme. Gourd.
My bad, guys. My bad. The guard is basically the Reader's Digest version. Is people have been saying it's like a beadless dagger because if it'll show up on camera, it is super monster deep and beadless. So if you are the person who likes that slow flying, super floaty putter, I think the guard is 1,000% the way to go.
Yeah.
The Warden and the Marshal and the Judge and things like that in our lineup haven't been traditionally very deep. The Marshal kind of a little bit, at least for me.
Right.
But this is considerably and noticeably deeper than anything else in our lineup. And I think a lot of people are going to like it probably more for like push putting, I think is where this is going to be a super home run. But if you've just got big hands and like throwing that slow, floaty style putter, I think the guard's going to be super good.
When I grabbed that for the first time, we got to test these out in Sweden, and they had just come out of the machine. And when I grabbed it, I was like, "Man, this is going to flip! Like, come on!" And it's actually really straight, stable. Like, it's a good line holder, and so I think people are going to really like that. Like you said, especially people with bigger hands are going to enjoy throwing this disc because it's nice and deep. So.
We have a question. Country Disc Golf says, how blunt is the nose on the guard? And I would say very.
Quite.
Extremely.
When I threw it, it would like, it feels like it's going to go really far because of the power you put on it, but it's so slow that it just ends up hovering and then falling at the end, which it's a good flight to have.
Yeah, it kind of flies a bit like a catch disc in that way.
Yeah.
Where it looks like it's going a lot further than it is, but once it slows down, it's still staying in the air and pushing forward, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to like that a whole lot. Is the guard similar to a P2 in depth? I think it's probably pretty close. I haven't felt a P2 in forever, so I couldn't tell you. But
I would guess maybe a little bit deeper.
If a hair.
Yeah, it's a wider diameter, I think.
Okay.
It feels like it anyway. I don't know if it actually is, but it feels similar to the flight, or as far as the depth, but it might be a little bit wider diameter.
For sure. Yelte. Whatever it is. We are talking about our new releases. That's what we're doing right now. So, moving on. We've got our mid-range this year is going to be the Gatekeeper from Westside Discs. I think the Gatekeeper is going to be a fan favorite. It is, I think it's a little bit slower than the mid-ranges that we talk about a lot, the EMAC Truth, the Verdict, things like that. The rim is a little bit slimmer than those. But I think the high-speed stability on this is really, really good. You can lean into this, and it pretty much just wants to hold the line that you put it on. And at first, especially the first few throws, it's just going to be like just a nice, consistent, small fade. This is a winner. I think people are really going to like the Gatekeeper.
I have a Biofusion Verdict, and that it fits that slot exactly. Just a little bit, it'll pop up to flat on like 10 degrees of hyzer, and then like 20 degrees of hyzer, it'll hold it the whole way. And if you smash it flat, it will work right, just a little bit.
Yeah, I think people who have difficulty throwing mid-ranges because they torque them too much or don't have the cleanest form, I think they're going to find a friend in the Gatekeeper because it is pretty torque resistant and high speed stable.
Oh, very good.
I think you're going to like that.
It's super good.
But work on your form so you don't have as much torque. Think about it. Okay. Let's move on. You've got the 2 Latitude 64 discs. Why don't you talk about the Pioneer?
I'll give this one to Danny.
Yeah.
The Pioneer is very overstable. It's a 9-speed, 8-speed, something like that. So a little bit on the faster side of things. And like I said, very overstable, sidearm, wind fighter type disc. Not quite in that like Justice where it's basically just utility shots. You can use this for big hyzers and things like that. But there was a few times yesterday, Danny and I were out throwing these where I would throw it probably about like that, and it would still fight out and work its way left hard at the end.
If you're listening to the podcast, that was like 15, 20 degrees of anhyzer.
Yeah,
it has a good reliable fade. That's what really surprised me. It kind of flew like a felon out of my hand, where felons don't dump right away. They kind of hold straight, and then at the end they sort of glide left. And this had a little bit less glide and a little bit more dump to it. So just a little bit more of that bite into the ground.
That's what I would say. Yeah, a little bit more aggressive finish, a little bit more overstable than a felon. Maybe not quite an ATI.
I'd say they're comparable.
Yeah.
Really good disc. I think some
Super
people
good.
are going to like that. I think between the Pioneer, the ATI, and the Felon, your kind of overstable fairway slot is pretty much covered. I think one of those is going to be something that can fit in nearly everyone's bag who's looking for something in that slot.
I was thinking Latitude doesn't really have something like that, and then I thought of the Sparks. Did you throw the old Sparks much?
I think this is more overstable than the old Sparks.
I think this will hold straighter.
Yeah.
From what I remember about those old Sparks, they were just like come out of your hand, and they're going down already.
Yeah. I honestly, it's been a long time since I've thrown one of them, so I couldn't tell you. But I think that's going to be a very good one. They've had the Triple X before, but it's kind of it's more blunt nosed, and it's just I don't know. It's kind of an interesting feel. This is more of that traditional overstable fairway kind of feel.
Yeah, it's got a little bit more glide, I think.
Yeah, super comfortable for forehands, I think.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And then you've got the recoil over there.
I do. I'm going to flip cameras because I feel important for this one.
Yeah.
All right. So the recoil here is a distance driver from Latitude 64. It sort of fits in between, like, what am I thinking? A Flow and a Gladiator.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was trying to think Latitude. Usually I say Trespass and Enforcer because it has that glide and that straight penetration of the Trespass, but then it definitely does have a little bit of hookup to it. The turn, it had a little bit. I was throwing it in a tailwind originally, and when I went out and threw it later without such a tailwind, it was a little bit easier to get that turn, but it's similar to like a Lucid X Trespass, where it's got that stability. It's gonna you don't have to worry about flipping it over too much, and it was work to get it to work right at all. Even on like a flat
you got to
release.
hit it.
You've got to smash it. I would say it's got like a Defender stability and like a Trespass sort of feel and shape.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
They go far.
Yeah, and they were smashing. So Grady Shoe's a new player to Team Latitude 64 this year and next year. Super excited to have him on the team. He was throwing the recoil and Pioneer out there, and he was getting it to move just a little bit to the right, but then still had that consistent fade. And that guy throws the Frisbee quite well. So I'm excited to try this one out a little bit more. So those are the 2 Latitude 64 drivers. Last one we're going to be able to talk about today is the Dynamic Discs Vandal. This is, in my opinion, kind of like a longer Maverick. So really easy to control. I wouldn't say a guaranteed turn necessarily, but if you lean on it a little bit, it's going to move right and just hold right. It doesn't feel to me like I'm going to worry about it dumping so hard that it rolls unless I'm putting it on a roller angle, right? Unless I'm hitting it on that 45-degree anhyzer with the intent of getting it to, 11 o'clock on a clock or something like that, right? So something like that, I think the Vandal is going to be great for. I think newer players are going to love the Vandal because they're going to be able to throw it straighter than most anything else they've thrown at this speed. And I think more experienced players are going to love it for the easy hyzer flip to flat and then just drift right. It is a little bit faster than the Maverick, so I think it's going to excel in those spots where you don't want to lean on a Maverick too hard necessarily. So this is going to fill that spot for you. Paige Bjerkes was throwing this exceptionally well out in the field. Like baby hyzer up to flat and then just straight, tiny fade. So I think this is going to be pretty great. Yeah,
that one, of all of these, the one that I'm going to most likely to bag is probably the Vandal. And right behind that's the Gatekeeper. Yeah. They are good Frisbees. So we should probably jump back into the questions now.
Yes. Oh, hold on. One more new release.
Okay.
It's not out yet, but the Raider from Dynamic Discs is going to be coming out pretty much as soon as we can get them in. I know now today that the mold has arrived in Sweden and that they were going to be running them either today or tomorrow. So we should have some feedback on them soon. The Raider is supposed to be a distance driver that kind of fits like us, like we were talking about, between the Trespass and the Enforcer. I think it's going to be one that people will carry multiples of and that they'll cycle in their bag. I could not be more stoked about that.
You know, in SpongeBob, there's a surfer dude character, and he goes, noise! That's just what was in my head the whole time.
That's what it makes you think of. I like it.
Real quick, one more thing about these discs. If you are in the Emporia area or are coming to the Emporia area, we do have one of these set up, or one of every one of these set up at the warehouse. You can check in with Colton, and you can take these things off to the side of the warehouse. We have a little practice driving range area set up, and he will let you test them out, give your opinions, and if you're just looking to try some sweet new discs before they come out, head on down to Emporia.
For sure. We got a couple of clarifying questions on these.
Okay.
One of these guys says Saint versus Vandal. The Saint and the Vandal are pretty similar speed. I think the Saint's going to turn just a little bit more. When are these available to the public? The Latitude releases, the Recoil and the Pioneer. Be looking for those in February. Be looking for the Vandal and Guard in March. And then Gatekeeper is probably going to be around a GBO release. The Keystone and... the Guard will be coming out in March. The Vandal and the Keystone are going to be Trilogy Challenge discs, along with a TP Burst version of the Gatekeeper, which will be the only way that you can get that. It's going to be sweet. Nice. And then the Raider is going to be, as soon as we can get them in, I bet that's going to be around a GBO release as well. Mm-hmm. Vandal versus Renegade, similar flights. Renegade's quite a bit faster. Raider versus
the Renegade's way more understable.
Yeah, the
so?
Vandal I could power up fairly well, and it wouldn't roll automatically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Renegade will pretty much roll automatically if I throw it as hard as I can.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think the Vandal's like stability of like a Lucid X Maverick for me.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I can dig that. Raider versus Recoil. Thomas, we don't know yet. We haven't seen the Raider yet. We will be able to compare those at some point. Vandal versus River. The River is going to be quite a bit slower and a little bit more turn.
Mm-hmm.
Move on.
Okay. I think we'll throw it over to one of the questions from the forum.
All right, we got one from Brandon asking about divisions. He says, hello to the best disc golf podcast and home of the best disc golf company there is.
What up?
When Bobby's here.
Wow. Yeah. Not his question.
It's the next best. It's like better than best. The new best.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. He says, I've been playing disc golf a little over 2 years, and I love this amazing sport. I have been playing rec, but have been moving up to intermediate and advanced when I can. Very smart. But our local C and small B tiers seem to only have rec and open. I've won 4 tournaments this year, but they are in the rec division. I keep getting called a bagger, but I'm not ready for open. With only rec and open, how do I avoid this? Thanks.
Ooh.
First of all, that's very interesting. Rec and open. Yeah. I wonder if he's looking, if it's like a 2-day, like how we have Monkey Island Open, where certain divisions play 1 day.
I don't know.
Maybe talk with your TDs and see if you can't.
Yeah, I think that's the solution.
Yeah. I haven't heard of only rec and open. Usually.
If it's amateur and open?
Yeah.
Maybe. I've seen like amateur, not at a sanctioned event though. That's so weird. Yeah, usually if it's 2 divisions, it's advanced and open, and then intermediate, advanced and open, and then rec intermediate.
Yeah.
So, right.
Maybe it sounds like it's probably a smaller community if they're not getting people in those divisions. So maybe reach out to the TD or TDs that are running events in your area and see if you can't get a division added or something. I know there's what is it, 4 people minimum for a division?
Some TDs will run it with just 1 person.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, usually if a TD has 3 people, they'll make a division. Plain and simple.
Yeah, so maybe reach out to them and see if they can't do something for you.
Yeah. That's a weird jump.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as much as it sucks to be called a bagger, like, I'm sorry, but
that's not his fault.
At the end of the day, if you're playing within your rating, like if your rating justifies that you can play rec, play rec. It's totally within your right to do that.
Just because you won the tournament, like someone is going to win.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're bagging.
That is correct.
All right, so this one is from Derek. He says, hey, DGAM crew, I was looking at the in-flight guide on inboundsdiscgolf.com and found their description of disc flight and distance was spot on for the discs I've thrown. However, I was a little surprised to see that the flight characteristics were listed nearly identical for the Westside Catapult and Latitude 64 Ballista Pro. From what I've read, the Catapult has some turn to it and can be downright flippy, where the Ballista Pro is very stable with no turn. Could you please compare the two?
Yeah.
So you probably have the most experience with the Ballista Pro, right, Robert?
I've thrown both of those discs.
Okay.
I threw it when the Catapult came out. I threw it quite a bit because it was right after I was back from knee surgery, and I could not throw stuff very well. Or maybe right before. I don't remember. Something like that.
Around that time.
Yeah. So, an interesting thing about flight numbers.
Do they matter?
I think they matter, but they're created by different people in different climates, different testing conditions, and everything like that. And so, and the West Side discs previously have had numbers that I think aren't as accurate for most U.S. players because they test at a different elevation, and
which makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really does. So over there, this was interesting. The very first high-speed overstable discs that were kind of sent over to our team were the Giant a long time ago, and at the time it was like pretty overstable, you know. But then when you start playing GBO and playing in the wind and things like that, I mean, those Giants would just roll over because they're not intended to fly like that. And Thomas, the disc designer for Latitude 64, said, you don't need anything more overstable than a Giant. That's as overstable as you'll ever need. False. If you're playing in that sort of
Shut these winds,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. So a lot of those discs were made with those certain numbers in different circumstances than the ones you're going to be throwing. So the Catapult is going to be a similar speed, but quite a bit more understable than the Ballista Pro. I wouldn't say the Ballista Pro has no turn out of the box for a lot of people. It has a small amount of turn for me, but it's not a ton. The Catapult is a hyzer flip to flat and ride right for me. Yeah.
I feel like the Ballista Pro is a little bit faster, too. Like the rim is a little bit wider.
I could see that. I like it.
Yeah, it's I haven't thrown the Catapult, but I don't think the Ballista Pro is overstable. And from what I've seen, the Catapult's like you're talking, it's a hyzer flip to flex line. Maybe like a, what is it? The like a lighter weight Opto would have a little bit of that same sort of line, but definitely not a max weight.
Yep, I agree.
All right. This one is from nobody. There's no name.
Good.
And it's specifically for Robert McCall.
Oh, what's up?
And he mentions that, or she mentions that twice. So
This
Robert,
is specifically for.
This is specifically for you.
You're in luck. I'm here.
You mentioned your highest rated round occurring when you were not physically at 100%.
Right.
In your opinion, what allowed this to happen? Was it a mentality change or a greater focus?
Great question. I ask myself that a lot because that's the best round I've ever played, and now I can throw. I'm probably clear about 100 feet farther now than I was throwing then. Oh man, what a joke. That was my first tournament back from knee surgery. I was throwing max about 330 with a king. And what allowed me to score so well that round is I threw just really clean lines. I put the disc where I wanted to. It flew how I thought it needed to, and then I made every putt I looked at except for one 35-footer. That ended up being 1063 rated, and it was on a course that there are plenty of birdies, but you can get in a lot of trouble. And I wasn't getting in a lot of trouble. I was hitting a bunch of lines with a pretty janky form and like high-speed understable discs. But part of it too was I didn't have any expectations going into the event. I was rated 1,000 at the time, but that was from 2 years before. The first round I played was 950 something, and I could point out the mistakes that I made to get to that point. And so the second round I didn't really have anything to lose. I was on like the third card, bottom of the third card, and just started out hot, made all the birdies, and shot up. I think it was a 49 on the Zebos all longs layout. So yeah, that was pretty sweet. If I went out on a regular day and I finished in the low to even like right around 54 range, be pretty stoked today. So it was just one of those days where just everything was clicking. Putt felt really good, and so I missed one 35-footer. It was for 4 on a par 4. Or sorry, it was for 3 on a par 4.
Nice.
So I wonder if it's just not thinking about so much what you're doing and just
focusing
on the gap and the execution.
Yeah.
Send.
Yeah. I was exclusively like 2/3 sending.
Which was about as good as you can do considering you had one leg.
Yeah. It was pretty rough. I would plant with my right foot, and then like almost not even turn my foot, just kind of go like, and just whip my shoulders around. Actually, I think that's one of the reasons that I round so much today is that's how I relearned to throw. But anyway, it was cool.
All right, so this one is from David Persson in Sweden.
Oh, what's up?
When I go to train in the field, I have big problems to stay motivated. I just want to go to the course and get a round in instead. It's really hard not to hurry too much in the field. Any advice for me?
Discipline is really important if you want to improve in disc golf. You've done a lot of field work and talked about it a lot. Talk about that a little bit.
I generally, I'll play a game where I'll throw my putter as far as I can and try to land my mid-ranges on top of it. And then I start with the most overstable and work towards the understable one. And then my most understable mid-range, I'll throw that as far as I can and try to land my fairway drivers on top of it. So you could try playing games, or I like to challenge myself by filming. Because if you film yourself, then you're probably going to see something wrong, and that will give you something to focus on, an objective to achieve. And if you can keep working on that until you've got it, you feel like you're doing it right, and then you film yourself and you're actually not doing it right at all, and so that you do it until you feel like you're really doing it right, and then you're still not doing it right. This is my story anyway. That gives me something to something to focus on and something to work on. And then once you've learned that, it's just repetition and repetition to ingrain that new thing into your muscle memory.
Yep.
So it's it's a matter of having an objective, either accuracy or try to best your personal distance record, or working on filming.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, even for me, is just like set a goal. Go out there and say, okay, I want to work on this. I want to get better at this. I want to do this. Make a game of it. Like you said, throw your putter and then try and land on top of it. Do something other than just, well, I'm throwing Frisbees at nothing.
Right.
This is fun. Now I have to go walk and pick them all up and do it all over again. Like,
yeah. Being focused is definitely the way to do it.
Yeah. Make some sort of a game. Make some small goal or something like that. So the next one we have here is from not Bobby Brown, just Bob Brown.
Maybe his dad. No, his dad is Robert.
His dad's Robert. So it's a cousin.
Yeah.
He says, do both feet have to be on the tee pad during your throw?
Assuming they're both touching the ground, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of those crazy people who, when you're getting ready to throw, you start off the side of the tee pad and then get one foot on the tee pad and lift your back foot off while you throw, then only that foot has to be on the tee pad. But all points of contact with the earth, ground, whatever you want to call it, have to be on the tee pad when you're throwing. I've seen people throw, lines that it helps to throw off the back of the tee pad to throw, and so they'll start their run up farther back, plant their plant foot, usually their right foot, on the very back of the tee pad, and then just lift their left whenever they throw it. It's just really tricky to do properly. Most people aren't going to call you on that if you are really close, but I don't like doing that. I don't like the consistency that comes with it, so I just keep both of them on.
It's kind of like the inverse of the step putts, where
Yeah.
people will step past their line and
That's
throw
right.
their putt before they come down.
Yeah,
The
that's kind
rule
of interesting.
backwards.
The rule here is 804 or 802.04 teeing off. It says when a disc, part B says when a disc is released, the player must have at least one supporting point within the teeing area, and all supporting points must be within the teeing area.
There we go.
Also, a story.
Yeah.
My old home course is Burns Park Red in North Little Rock, and hole 18 is either like a straightish forehand or a turnover down a big hill, like a putter turnover.
Mm-hmm.
It plays like 250 feet maybe, and super easy putter turnover. You just throw it flat, or there's a massive hyzer over complete jail that if the wind is right, you might get within 30 feet. I almost exclusively throw the hyzer.
Because it's fun.
Not usually in like a tournament or in a mini. If I'm playing really well, I will definitely throw the hyzer. But if I'm playing poorly and trying to salvage my score, I will throw the turnover. But if I'm playing super poorly, big hyzer again.
Hyzer time.
But that's one of those where you start off the back of the tee pad and you run up, and it's like 60 degrees up. You're almost
super
throwing it
knife.
more up.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an understable disc, so it'll pan up and then glide straight past the stupid pine tree I always hit, and then it'll fade back towards the basket if you're lucky. But that's an example of throwing off the back of the tee pad.
Yeah, I've seen people do it on the left side of the tee pad as well, or the right side, where they just barely get a foot on and pick their foot up off. I don't like it, but it's within the rules to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we should jump over to a speak pipe question for this one.
Let's
do
if I was ready for it, which I am now. Okay, this next one is from Cole. This is 18 seconds long, so let's pay attention.
All right.
What's up, guys? This is Cole from Seattle. Just got a quick question about if you guys are going to be coming to Beaver State Fling or if Dynamic has anything planned for that. Would love to see you guys in the Pacific Northwest and love what you guys do. Thanks.
Short, sweet, to the point. I like it, Cole.
Thanks, Cole.
I would not be shocked
At
if we were.
At this point, I do not plan on going. However, I really want to go sometime. That's one of the ones on my bucket list is Beaver State.
Same.
I have a strong feeling that there will be a DD presence there because there's the Portland Open like the weekend before or after.
Mm-hmm.
So I may or may not have been involved in conversations about possibly us or someone going. Maybe.
If
We're always working on it.
if one of those someones gets to be me, I'm stoked. Let's go.
Maybe
Same.
possible.
All right, we'll see.
All right, we have one more speed
luck.
pipe question, and then we're all caught up. You're welcome, Bobby.
My fate is in Anthony's hands.
Got you, dude.
This one is from Michael.
Hi, Disc Golf Answer Man crew. This is MK in Kansas City. I have a question for Robert. Latitude 64 seems to be losing players like crazy. What's going on with them? Thanks.
Great question, Michael. I've recently thought about just posting something about this, or at least talking with Latitude's leadership about posting something about this. And David Berglund posted a little bit about kind of what Latitude's plans are for 2019 and what they're doing, but specifically on the team side, I can speak to that. So Latitude's team had gotten to where there was a lot of people on that team. I think there was, at the time, only one team bigger in disc golf, and that's Innova. Innova has...
I think it's 1 million players.
They have a lot of
I
players.
think it's 1 million people.
They have a lot of players. And then they have like a whole nother big ambassador team, which, I mean, good for them. They've been at it for a long freaking time, right?
Yeah.
But Latitude had, I want to say, 115, 120 players or so on the team, and it just gotten to the point where team expenses were astronomical, like so many people on the team, and wanted to focus in a little bit more on some of the people that we want to support going into the future, who we think are moving the direction that we want to go. And a lot of the people who left the team, some of the people we kind of assumed would leave because they were going to get a different sponsor. Some of the people we weren't expecting to leave, and they did, and that's just how it goes. But at the end of the day, Latitude's plan is to take some of that sponsorship money that we were spending on players, grab some new, younger talent, which we have. You know, Grady Shue is one of those people. I think you're going to see some increased presence from Emerson Keith this year. You're definitely still going to see Johnny McCray out on the road, and that guy impresses me every time I play with him or watch him. He's so good, and he's been at it for forever. So you're going to see those people out on the road a lot. One of the people I'm super excited to see out on the road more this year is Rebecca Cox. She had kind of a breakout year, in my opinion, last year, and she's super good.
She's good.
And she wants it. Like, she wants it bad. So she trains hard. So I'm excited to see those guys out on the road. And we're going to have a lot of other people at different tournaments throughout the year. But we also picked up some younger guys and girls, talented people who we think have a future in the sport, who we want to show some support to and just kind of see what they can do with some of that support. And so we allocated some of that money toward them, and then we're going to spend some more of that money working on growing disc golf tournaments, tournament sponsorship, and kind of things like that. And so great question. I feel like a lot of people think Latitude's going bankrupt, or I've even heard this one. This is my favorite. DD's going to buy Latitude.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for us.
Yeah.
Let's go.
They sold. They sold to us. No, Latitude is not in financial trouble. I want to get that out there. Good to go. Just felt like we were spending too much on the team for the return that we were getting, and so as it is with sponsorships, some cuts were made. Some people left on their own. Some were kind of a mix of both. And like I said, some people left that we really didn't want to. And that's just kind of how it goes. But I personally am really excited to see how our team performs moving into the future. I think 2019, you're going to see some big performances, like I said, from Emerson, Grady, Johnny, Rebecca, those type of people. But then we also signed a couple of young guns like Clint Calvin out of California. He won U.S., not M Nationals. He won the other one.
The U.S. Amateur Disc Golf Championship or something like that, right?
Yeah, the
Bowling
one.
Green?
No. It was there's the one at Toboggan, and then there's the other one, and I think he won the other one. I don't remember. I'm sorry, Clint. I can't remember the name of the tournament you won right now. But Clint is super well-spoken, young guy who is really excited about disc golf. He's rated in the 990s right now, but I would not be surprised to see him well over 1,000 by the end of the year. We got some great players who we've seen come up as younger players. Like Quinn Rodius is a guy who just signed, throws the disc a mile. Yeah, so
real far.
I'm very excited for the future of Latitude. It's okay, here it is. I'm going to keep it real. It's really funny to watch some of the comments online for people who are just speculating about things that are happening. What you don't know is that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you'll never know, and that just kind of the public shouldn't know. You know, like same thing goes with Innova. I know some Innova sponsored players. They're good friends of mine. I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes at Innova or Discraft or whomever. But a lot of people online assume that they know everything about it, right? At the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you won't see. One thing I would say is do not believe everything that you see online about people leaving and why they're leaving, their reasons for leaving, their reasons for doing something different. Unless you know the person personally, let that be their business. And support the companies and players that you want to support. And if you're listening to the show, we really appreciate you supporting us. Thank you.
All right.
Boom.
Speech done. Sorry.
Speech done. All right. Thank you. The last thing before we sign off of the recording here, we will hang out for a little bit for the live viewers, is Physics of Flight. That has started last Thursday. It's a instructional series. This is the third time that we've done a Physics of Flight, so it's Physics of Flight 3. And then episode 1 was the fantastic Mr. Eric Oakley talking about forehands. And he did a great job breaking down the grip and the form and the shot shapes and how to use it all. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And on Thursday, we will have the next Physics of Flight about putting with our very own Robert McCall.
Hey, what's up?
He is going to talk about the good grips to use, and putting is kind of weird because it's so personal. Yeah. Everyone putts kind of differently, but there are some things that you can do to keep it consistent for whatever putting style you have. So he's going to talk about how to identify that style and how to make it more consistent and how to adapt it for the different situations.
Yeah,
so,
we got Paige Bjerkes in there for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we do.
She does some putting, and she's a very, very good putter. So that was good to have her around, and yeah, adjusting for the wind and variables, and it's going to be cool. So
looking forward to it.
How many of your tips can we give like a sneak preview?
Yeah.
How many of the tips revolve around just using a Warden?
Well, we got lots of Warden tips in there. It says here's some different types of putters, but really the one that you need to use is the Warden.
Or use the Warden, yeah.
I putt with a hybrid style of putt, but whatever style of putt you choose, the Warden is your best option. It's that sort of stuff.
Kind of across the board.
So yeah, we're going to premiere that on
statement.
Thursday at
Yes.
3
o'clock.
3 Central.
Yes, there will be it will pop up on probably Thursday morning or maybe Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah,
and you can set a reminder there, and it will be. It's not a live stream. It just plays the video for the first time for everybody, so you can kind of jump in the chat. You can jump in a chat and you can react with everybody as you're watching the video.
Yeah, and I'll be in the chat as well. So if you have questions about it or comments, I would love to respond to those, and we'll just have a good old time.
If Robert's in the chat, I will not decline to be there, but I will watch. So
we'll have a good time.
So thank you all for listening. As always, send your disc golf questions into discgolfanswerman.com. We have SpeakPipe, or we have the written questions. Either one will work, and we will get those answered on air. And Bobby will be back. Was he going to be back by next week?
Yeah, I think he gets back on Saturday. He's in. By the way, he's in Panama right now, and it's pretty freaking sweet. I've seen he's posted some pictures on Instagram, some on Facebook, and stuff like that.
Looks pretty nice.
Seems like he's enjoying himself quite well.
Also, we live stream this usually Tuesdays around 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So for the recorded podcast listeners, if Bobby posts this, definitely tune in and catch us then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, bye.
All right. Wait, don't leave.
Okay,
don't leave live stream.
No. Hey, bye, listeners.
Hey, yeah, bye the
They're already gone.
the
Right?
nerds who don't.
We're
pay
back to
attention.
the after the podcast show. Trademark pending. Sorry, Johnny V. It's not this.
All right.
It's not the after.
I've
show.
seen this question in the chat like 4 times. It says, "What is the most neutral flying disc across all the speed ranges?"
Gosh, Warden.
Warden.
Done. Next.
So putters, I would say Warden or the Keystone.
Yep.
And then mid ranges is probably going to be like a Truth or a Compass.
I'm just gonna throw Maiden in there for putters.
Also,
Ooh, yeah, that is really neutral. I've been messing with the Compass lately, and it is so very point and
It's real
shoot.
good.
You throw it flat, it goes straight.
Also, we have Opto X compasses coming next year.
Yeah, Grady's shoe.
Or is that this year?
Signature disc. That's this year.
This year.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's 2019 now, Danny.
Johnny McCray just announced he's going to have the Opto X Fuse, and that's one I'm super excited
also a
about.
very good disc.
I've been throwing the Fuse a lot lately. It's just super controllable, and the new Opto ones are not like I think too many people think of the Fuse as really flippy, and this Opto one, if you don't just crush it, if you throw it like 80-85%, you can just throw it as straight as you want, and maybe a hair of right fade. But I think a lot of people think it's a hyzer up to flat up to all the way right, and it just isn't. It's really good.
That was Justin Choi who asked that question.
It's Justin.
We also have the question that I've seen a few times. I'm trying to find it really quick. It was, what is the R Shabanga
Okay.
has asked, compare a Getaway to a musket, please. I would say a musket is like if you had a Biofusion Getaway that was maybe a couple of months old. They're probably going to fly fairly similar. So out of the box, the Getaway is going to be a good bit more overstable, especially in the Lucid plastic. The musket is going to have, like on a 15-degree hyzer release, the Getaway is probably going to hold it. It might turn a little bit, but it's probably not going to get to flat, certainly in the Lucid plastic. In the Biofusion, it might get to flat. But the musket will sort of work right, but it's going to come back at the end.
Yeah.
So it's going to be overall a very straight flyer, just,
Both fantastic discs.
Yeah.
The musket reminds me a lot of a Trespass.
Yeah,
Just
a little bit slower. That's good.
Super similar.
I like Tim says, shocked Eric Oakley was throwing felons in that video.
Wow.
In satire.
What?
It's very funny.
He doesn't throw those hardly ever, does he?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No.
Justin says that putting physics of flight will be lit. You're right. Hashtag Team Ward. Let's see. Robert McCool. I haven't even heard that one before. Pinku the hot dog. I don't know if I agree, but I appreciate you.
Very nice.
Um,
Bentley says, I'm 13 and can only throw 280 tops yet. When I throw a Renegade, I still get turn out of it. Can you explain the phenomenon? So discs turn because of downward pressure on the front of the disc. So overstable discs are shaped to funnel, in general, a bigger proportion of air underneath the disc, and that that gives it lift. But if you have air coming over the top, that's going to push it down. So if you're throwing with a nose down flight, that Renegade, it doesn't take nearly as much power to turn as most people who throw with a little bit of nose up flight. So you're probably just have a really good nose angle, and you're getting that nose down, and that's why it's having that little bit of turn.
nice.
So I wouldn't be afraid to step up to faster discs, and
Yeah,
because
Trespass.
they're probably going to fly fairly straight. Yeah, Trespass is a great example. Or
You might even try the recoil at some point. It's going to be a
Possibly.
little bit more overstable than the Trespass, but it's a
yeah,
good one.
definitely.
Matthew says, can you move Junior World so Team DD members can come to a local A tier? Matthew,
Definitely.
we've considered it. We're going to pass on that this year.
Sorry,
But
dude.
thank you. Luke says, hooray, I've been loving Physics of Flight. Thanks, Danny, for all you do. Thanks, Danny, for all you do. Dab on him.
Danny?
Bah, bah.
Thanks, man.
Legendary E says, well, Robert does probably have the best putt I've ever seen. Legendary E, you're very kind. I'm going to disagree with you, but I really appreciate the kind words. I think it's just the second best putt.
Also, to all the
I'm
haters,
just
After
kidding.
me.
there's been some people saying that the mustache is fake. I have audio evidence. I don't know
Gross.
if you can hear that.
Gross.
And the Bobby Smug, it doesn't matter.
Gross. All right. Hey, if you guys do have questions, we're going to hang around for a little bit longer. Drop those in the chat. We'd love to answer those for you. We've got a couple on here that I can respond to. Samuel says, can you talk about when tour/player discs will start coming out? Samuel, I can.
But will you?
I'm not going to.
Oh, okay. Sorry, dude.
Samuel, we are going to be looking for those around the middle to end of February, maybe beginning of March. Looking for that for those release dates. We've got some really cool ones that I think you guys are going to like a whole lot. Some of the same ones from last year: Lucid X Convict for Paige Pierce,
Nice.
Lucid X Trespass for Eric McCabe, Lucid X Felon for Eric Oakley. We're going to have the Lucid X Getaway for Paige Bjerkes. I'm pretty stoked on that one. That's going to be that's going to be a good one. And then, though not Lucid X, the Hybrid Waffle Warden will be returning for Mr. AJ Risley. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Those are nice.
You know I like the Warden. Come on, but AJ, he's just a real bro. He's a real guy.
His practice round video might be the favorite one. My favorite video that I've
he's
ever
such a goofball, dude.
It was so funny. It's so great.
When so we were on. Here's a little behind the scenes for you guys who are watching
back
here
the
on
curtain.
Answer Man. So we play hole 1, hole 2, hole 3 at East. We get to hole 4, and we throw over the water, and we're both kind of like we went for it, but It was full. But good thing it's full send Friday, except for it's Wednesday. That's a good point. But anyway, he finds himself in a bad spot, and I'm like, okay, AJ, what are you thinking about while you throw this shot? And Danny expertly edited it to, with all the math stuff going across the screen and like all these things he was thinking about. And we were all like, that's really funny because, it sounds like he's doing calculations. I promise you, AJ talked about that shot for 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. 5 real actual minutes. Most people would be like, well, the green slopes this way and here's the wind. So here's a disc I'm going to throw. Let's throw it. And if they want to explain even a little bit more, maybe we go for 45 seconds or even a minute if you really want to get in depth. I promise
Not
you
AJ.
It was 4 to 5 times that. And AJ is my boy. And so Danny and I were just looking at each other and laughing, knowing that we were going to drop some math symbols and stuff.
And then he said, conversely. And
Conversely,
I lost
it was like,
the camera starts shaking
all
a lot
bets are
more
off.
after that.
And then how did that shot result?
He just smoked the tree. just cranked on the
That's
tree.
my absolute favorite part of that. He spends all this time breaking it down, all this in depth, and then just smack.
Yeah.
About 15 feet right in front of him.
So good.
Bonk.
Dude. Trevor Guilfoyle says, did you guys see the new video CCDG just released with the Australian guy doing the commentary? He was hilarious. Just wondering if you guys know his name. Trevor, I saw a little bit of that. His name is Tyler something. It starts with a B. Brickley or something like that. I don't know the guy, but the video is hilarious. Have you guys seen this?
Is it the one they put out today?
Yes.
I saw that they put one out, but I haven't watched it.
I've been hard at work and definitely not watching it at work, but I've also seen it.
Yes. So I watched a little bit of it at lunch, and I love it because we've got really good commentators in the sport now. Nate Sexton, Big Germ do a great job. Ian and Corey do a great job. AJ Ulibarri do a great job. I mean, we've done plenty of commentary.
Facts.
We do a great job.
Look
how
just
great
gotta
I
let
am.
them have their moment
I'm just
in the
kidding.
sun.
But I do think that we have more and more people who are getting proficient at commentary where it doesn't suck. It's like, hey, that was beneficial. I'm glad that we had that. This bro takes it an entirely different way and exclusively makes fun of the players. And on the screen, they don't show the score for each hole. They show strikes, and you get a strike whenever you hit a tree. So on the first hole, it's like it's Ricky
Is it like
Eagle.
an actual tournament?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Hall of Fame. It's at W.R. Jackson of all freaking places. So
That's just not fair.
yeah, so the first hole, I'm pretty sure Ricky gets a birdie, Patrick Brown gets a par, Eagle gets a par, and I think Simon is the other one on the no Seppo. But Ricky hits a tree, so all it says on the screen is Ricky 1 strike.
And there's also
No scores.
there's an extra audio sound. I don't know if you
That's
caught this.
fantastic.
Every time somebody hits a tree, there's an audible snap that was added in post.
Oh,
and it's
dude,
just that
yes.
heartbreaking
That's
thwack when a disc hits a
incredible.
tree.
Yes. It's really good.
Oh,
So
that's super fun.
Tyler, we haven't met before. Props to you. That's really funny stuff. I love having that like lighter side of stuff like that for commentary.
That's great.
Ricky keeps wiping his hand on his pants and he
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
saying, "Oh, he's touching his bum now."
Yeah.
What about that?
He's ready with it, which is
That's
fantastic. Thomas says, when is the best time of the season to apply for a sponsorship? Thomas, not the very beginning of the year, I'll tell you that. Most of the time, especially where we are right now, we've made all of our team decisions a few months ago. So I would say getting toward the end of the season is probably a really good time to start applying. I will keep it real once again, as I have on here before. There are a lot of people who apply to be sponsored players who will not end up being sponsored players. It's not because we think you suck. It's not because we think you're bad. A lot of those people are really good disc golfers. It's really just about the need that we have at the time, right? Sometimes we really just need local representation in a certain area. So those are the people that we seek out. Sometimes we need touring players. So those are the people that we seek out. So don't take it personally if it doesn't end up working for you the very first time. It's always good to put your name in there, but just know that there is a lot more qualified people than there are sponsorship positions available. And that's just the hard truth of sponsorship. If I had an unlimited budget, I would love to sponsor so many more people than I get to. But I have an not extremely limited, but it's a very real budget, and I have to stay in it. So there it is.
Daryl Morris says, how much time do you guys think high-end players that change companies will take to be comfortable with their new plastic in tournament play?
Probably
Takes
not as long as we would bet.
About a minute.
I think it depends on the player. I think they can Peter McBride said this, and I think there's some real truth to this. You can fake it out in the open. Everybody has high-speed overstable drivers. Everybody has their putter that they like. Everybody has overstable stuff, and that's what they're going to be throwing a lot at, Vegas and the Memorial and things like that. But when you get into the woods, I think that's the real first test. When you can know the nuances of all of your particular discs. So I think those are the tournaments I look forward to most when they get back in the woods a little bit and we see, okay, who really knows their discs and who just can kind of fake it till you make it out in the open.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
We should talk about these discs one more time. Do you have any questions about the new release discs? Drop them in the chat.
Yeah, hit those.
Somebody was asking if we talked about the Keystone already, so let's go ahead and start with talking about that one. It is a sort of straight to understable putter, kind of more towards the straight end. It's fairly deep. It has a very rounded edge, kind of a blunt edge. But it's a fantastic throwing putter. I think that's where I see it could be. And it's got a little bit of hyzer release, and it'll work right and fade straight, or more hyzer and it'll flip to flat. Or if you don't throw it super hard, you can get it to hold a hyzer if you'd like. It's a very versatile.
Super controllable.
For sure.
Are there any other questions about the disc? Someone says plastics for the guard.
This one is classic hard, and the Keystone is a 0 medium. So it's a blend.
It's a classic blend. I'm assuming it will be out in more plastics soon. I think
I don't know what the plan is for Trilogy Challenge.
Oh, that's right. It's Trilogy Challenge.
That's what Keystone is. That's what Vandal is. And then the Gatekeeper will be, I know the plastic for that'll be a TP Burst.
Okay. Someone says Gatekeeper again.
The Gatekeeper is going to be a slightly slower mid-range, but it's just a really, really true line holder. Hit it hard, flat, it's going to go straight and finish straight, maybe a little bit to the left if you're a right-hand, backhand player. Throw it on hyzer, it's going to go hyzer. Throw it on anhyzer, it's going to hold it for you. It's just a really true flying disc with a little extra stability, and I think that helps it to hold those lines instead of, you throw it flat and move it to the right. It's going to hold what you throw it with.
Arthur Parsonen says Sling and Pine versus Gatekeeper. I would say Sling, Pine, Gatekeeper. Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Someone says Guard is close to a dagger. It's pretty much a B-list dagger.
I think the profiles are very, very similar on that. You can see super flat on the rim here for the Guard, and that's what you see from the dagger as well, just no bead.
Like a more stable EMAC, similar, maybe not quite as for the Gatekeeper.
Yeah, not quite as far.
Not quite as long, yes.
Yeah, but yeah. Redbeard, when can we expect an Anthony Stamp Gord?
Gord.
Probably tomorrow.
Anytime. I started calling judges Georges a while back. I don't know why, but that just reminded me of that when you said that. So I want to just get all of Paige Bjerk's judges and just write George on there.
George.
She'd like
Just
that.
Put George Clooney's face. George of the Jungle.
So Salvador says guard or warden. I mean, come on.
Tim Warden for sure.
Who you talking to?
Know your audience, dude.
Come on, man. Let's see. Hutch says, what is Trilogy Challenge?
Fun.
Well, thank you for asking, Hutch.
It's fun. Next question.
So moving on.
Trilogy Challenge is, as Bobby likes to say, a tournament in a box. It's a sort of a fundraiser event that really anybody can run. You order the players packs and you get 3 discs and usually like a mini and a towel and a Sharpie maybe.
Yeah, some stuff.
That hasn't really
maybe
been
a T-shirt.
finalized
Who
yet.
knows?
Maybe.
Swag.
But those 3 discs are what you have to play in the Trilogy Challenge with. So, for example, when I was in Little Rock, one of my friends, Henry, ran a Trilogy Challenge at his local course, and he took pre-registers for it. So we all paid like a month in advance. We signed up for the tournament. He took that and bought players packs, and you tend to want to buy a few extra so you can have people to come sign up the day of. And so then he got all that stuff, and then the people came to the event and played the event with those discs, and he ran it for a store, so he ended up making the store a good little bit of profit, and you can use it for fundraising for a club or an event that's coming up or something like that.
Yeah, or fundraising for yourself.
That works.
The self-preservation fund.
That's it.
Pretty sweet.
It's good.
But it's generally they're going to be beginner-friendly discs, and it's more of a casual atmosphere than most tournaments. If you're looking to play in one, it's a great first tournament. Or I know I won't be missing one this year. I'm gonna not like I won't be missing all of them, but like I will play one.
I'll say for the beginner-friendly side of the disc this year, in years past, I think we've had a few discs that were like much more on the beginner-friendly side. I think these are discs that could make like a lot of players' bags, beginners and advanced, like experienced players alike. The Keystone's got to be such a really good thrower. Yeah. Man, it's super good. Gatekeeper we've already talked about, really, really good. And then the Vandal, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by the Vandal. I think they're going to think it's just way too understable, and I don't even want to try it. And then they're going to throw it and be like, wow, that's
really not.
That did some stuff.
Yeah.
Someone says, is the Trilogy Challenge around the same time as the Discraft Ace Race? It really depends on who's running
all
one.
year almost.
I misread that question at first. I thought it was, is it about the same as the Discraft Ace Race? I was going to say it's just 3 times as good because there's 3 discs.
That's right. Here's one. Dustin Nelson says, can you talk a local shop into carrying DD products for me? Thanks. Dustin, if you're being serious, you can shoot an email over to sales@dynamicdiscs.com. We would love a lead on a shop that doesn't carry a Dynamic Discs Latitude 64 Westside discs. Always want to talk to people like that. So if you do have that, shoot that over to us. We would love to see it. Justin says, is there a TD in Washington State connected to Trilogy that I could contact for running a Trilogy Challenge? Justin, I'm sure there are, but you can run a Trilogy Challenge.
Super easy.
Anybody can. You don't have to be a sponsored player, an employee, anything like that. You just go to trilogychallenge.com, you register your event, and then you just make it happen.
When do they start? They usually start around May.
It's like
May will be the first ones.
October is usually when they end.
Beginning part of May will be when you can start looking into that.
Oh,
so.
Also the only place you can get those 3 discs is at a Trilogy Challenge. So if you're super excited
and
about
those
a Vandal,
plastics, the Gatekeeper will be released at GBO.
Oh, okay.
But this is the only place you'll be able to get that TP
The tournament
burst.
plastic.
But otherwise, that's correct.
If you hike to try out one of those discs, you either have to play a Trilogy Challenge or find someone who did and buy the discs off them or something. If they're willing to give them up, because they're probably going to be holding on to them very tightly.
There's something really exciting that we're talking about for Trilogy Challenge yet that we discussed in a meeting I was in this morning. I cannot talk about it right now. What I can tell you is that there will be some, if it goes the way that I think it's going to, there will be some added incentive for coming to Trilogy Challenges. Not just the 3 discs for the price that you get them for, not just the T-shirts, not just the prize pack, but we're talking about doing something for each competitor to kind of give them just a bit of added incentive for coming to the event. That's really all I can say about it right now. I know that that's one of those things. Oh, we're always working on something, but as
we actually are,
as those details become more concrete, I am stoked to share that with you if it ends up being what I think it's going to be. So
sweet.
Salvador.
Keep your eyes peeled for that.
Salvador says, looking at switching to Warden putters, what is the best plastic for putting and best for approach? I use
Warden.
blend for everything.
Blend.
Sweet. I throw blend. I putt classic. And I throw lucid also.
Oh,
I
also
putt with
yes.
primes.
Nice.
Do you throw?
I throw maidens. Sorry. No, I'm not even embarrassed by that.
No, they're really
They're
good.
super good.
Yeah.
When we first tested those, I said if the Warden wasn't a thing, I think the Maiden would be what I would throw.
Have you tried the Moonshine ones from the Winter Marksman League?
I haven't won one.
Neither do I, but I'm friends with a guy named Eric.
Oh, nice.
He won one and let me have it.
Say, give me that. Jeremy, thank you for this question. When's Robert going on tour? Jeremy, I'm going to keep it real. My time of going on tour is probably past. I know some people are delusional about their ability to go and like support themselves doing something that they love to do, like playing disc golf. I'm not one of those people. I enjoy playing disc golf. I will make some money playing disc golf this year, hopefully. I have in years past. We'll see if it happens this year. But as far as like going out for real and making like playing disc golf my full-time job, honestly, truly, I am not good enough to do that. There are too many people who are better than me on a regular basis that I could not support myself, let alone my wife, even with her job, just from playing disc golf. Plain and simple. Thank you for the support. That's awesome. I like playing disc golf for fun. I like competing. Mm-hmm. I no longer have aspirations of going to be the best touring disc golfer there is. I want to compete with myself and put up the best scores that I can. Sometimes that can compete with those top guys, like at Zebo's when I shot a 1063
for 300 feet
for no good reason. But getting to compete against them, I love that. I just don't want to do it full time. I can't. It's not that I'm physically unable. I am very realistic that I would get smoked all the time.
Nice.
There it is.
Not nice.
Facts.
Somebody had a really good question. I don't see it.
Did
anymore.
you see jumping back while Danny finds that.
Yeah, go
for it.
Did you see, you were talking about making money out on tour?
Mm-hmm.
I know Mike Conley is on Latitude.
Yeah.
Did you see his post
Yes.
from a couple weeks ago? He went through and saved like
All his expenses,
everything.
entry fees, travel,
Mhm.
food.
And he came out. He's what, 1,000 something?
He's good.
1,000 on the
He's
dot?
either $9.99 or in the low thousands. He and I are about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
Super.
He's a
good disc
baller.
golfer.
He's a cool cat.
And I think he came out negative like
$20
$2 or
Yeah.
$20 or something, where it was almost exactly the same. And he's out there shooting 1,000+ rated rounds, super good, and made $0.
I
Yep.
wish I was only negative $22.
Right.
this year.
Right.
I did not cash at a single event.
Yeah.
I made like $15 playing doubles.
Nice. Sick.
So
Attaboy.
Yeah.
it's
But this
it's
is a
rough
new
year.
year, though.
That's it.
Got to turn it around.
Easy.
Hutch asks, what are the flight numbers on all the discs? Hutch, please leave. No, I'm kidding. Don't leave, Hutch. Don't leave.
All right. We don't have
don't
flight
think we have
numbers
them,
on
yeah.
all of them. We're talking about some of them, but they're not set in stone just yet. Keystone up. Somebody said, so I only say that because earlier on the chat board, somebody's like, you could say some players are going to make it a keystone in their bag. We do not have all the flight numbers for these yet. I could give you a rough estimate. Keystone is going to be a 3 probably speed putter. Guard's going to be a 2. Vandal will be a 9 speed fairway driver. Recoil is going to be a 12. Pioneer is going to be an 8 or a 9. And Gatekeeper is going to be a 4. There you go.
Yep.
Don't hold me to those, please.
Tips for fixing a persistent hyzer release on my drives.
Throw flatter.
Throw flatter, yes. I would say it probably has to do with reaching back. So the angle of the release, you want to set it with your reach back and maintain it throughout the throw, ideally. So try reaching back a little bit flatter and just and maybe following through just a little bit lower on those flat releases. Generally, you do want to follow through up for a hyzer release, maybe not quite as high if you're trying to throw it flat, but still kind of up.
I like it.
You know what's up. It's your follow through.
I saw one other comment about what I was talking about going on a tour. TJ said, growing the sport, though, so great work. Thank you. That's, for us, like, just playing disc golf isn't the only way that we'd like to contribute to disc golf. And so that for me is one of the reasons that I don't have those aspirations to go out. I get to be involved in disc golf every single day. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's where we're at.
I'm going to interrupt real quick. I
Hit
don't
it.
have the chat in front of me, but I do have a mother that is looking at the chat, and she texted me a question. So I
Dude,
will ask
All
it.
right.
Maureen, let's go.
A guy named
Anthony's mom is the best, by the way. If you ever get the chance to meet, does she say Maureen or Maureen?
Maureen, like more.
Maureen, okay. She is an angel. Just so we're on the same page. She's great.
She put up with me for 23 years, so that's proof enough.
She's got to be worthwhile.
A guy named Matthew asked what the plan for DG Weekly is for me this year. Last year we did DG Weekly Live. This year we are still going to be doing weekly videos on the DD channel, reviewing stuff. There will be one coming out tomorrow on the Marshall, but it will no longer be live. So for anyone out there who is looking for that tomorrow, there will be a video, same time, but not a live video.
Cool.
Back to you, Robert.
Yeah, DG Weekly doing the things. The thumbnails that you make for your like weekly disc reviews, they're so good.
They're
The
good.
judge one. with
The Judge Judy, I could
That
not
one
have
was
been
my
less
favorite.
ready for. I was not
loved
ready.
That one. I
Oh.
told Temp to do that. Temp is our graphic designer. I told him, I was like, man, I don't have any idea for this. Just put me onto Judge Judy. And then he actually did it. And I was like, this is perfect.
This
Can we
is
get
awesome.
away with this? And so, yeah. That
Chris-
was a fun one. That's
Chris
all.
asks, yeah, that's super good. Chris, oh, sick. Disc golf answer, mom. Yes, thank you, Chaser. Chris asks if I run a trilogy challenge, can I play in it too? Yes, you can, Chris. I would recommend having another person help you run it if you're going to do that, just so that you've got someone counting scorecards, keeping up with all that stuff in the meantime. But yeah, you can definitely run that or play it if you run it. So yeah,
Yeah, man, you're running it. Nobody can tell you.
yeah, you're the boss.
Trilogy Challenge, like, you can make up the format and stuff too, can't you?
You can.
It can be like,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
Whatever you
single stroke
want.
play. It can be
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Oh, we also
up to
send
you.
prizes like first
Yes.
place, second place, third
Mhm.
place stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can divvy
Dimex
that up however you'd
discs
like.
and
Yeah.
That's
baskets
right.
and stuff.
Joseph asked, back to the touring thing. Joseph asked, can you make a living playing disc golf without being one of the top players?
Yes.
If you're only playing disc golf, it depends on how you define make a living. There are people who there are sponsored players who get their entry fees paid, and some of those people will make like $10,000 to $15,000 a year, but they travel so light and stay for free in a lot of places that they don't need a lot of extra money. So if you call that making a living, sure. If you're talking about like a salary that most other people would talk about, like for doing a 40-hour-a-week job, very few people make that straight up. I think there's probably 20 to 25 people in the world, maybe 30, who make
not many.
Yeah, who make that sort of money. But most people know.
There is also the non-touring route, the Nate Sexton of 10 years ago, Christian Dietrich, where it's just like
you stay local and just dominate.
This is where I live. I'm going to win all of the tournaments in this area, and I'm sorry, everyone else.
Yeah, you will never ever win. Thank you. So anyway, this is the last call for questions in the chat. It's 2:55. We've been live now for almost an hour and a half. So if you have another emergency question or two, drop that in the chat.
We just had another disc golf answer man walk by outside. EMAC just got back.
Oh yeah, he's been. EMAC isn't here today. He was because he was working out at the country club. We've got some course changes going in out there that I got to look at yesterday. They're awesome.
Yeah. Can we play that?
The new tee pads?
Yeah.
Not right now.
Can I play that?
Maybe.
We don't have to, but I want.
Oh, you're saying like go throw discs?
Yes.
I thought you meant play the video. I was like, I don't think we have released a video on it yet.
Can we play the course?
Yeah, I'm interested. And I think you can, yes. But yeah, some of the changes are really good. Like specifically hole 7. So 6 is that uphill hyzer. 7 is the one where you tee off from the cart path, fairways on your right, cart pass on your left. Pretty easy birdie for most people.
If anyone doesn't know, go watch the Country Club Classic.
We played it a bunch of times.
He and Zach Johnson played it. You'll be familiar with that.
Multiple times. It's one of the easiest birdies on the course. It's not like a gimme birdie, but especially at the top level, people get it more often than not. They move the tee pad over kind of closer to 6's basket now, where it's throwing between these two trees. It's kind of a scary drive now. Like it's not awful and terrifying, but it's not easy.
Yeah, it's super there, but so are the trees.
Yes.
Do you know if they were clearing out the other tee pad on 10?
10.
What used to be 10?
I don't know what they're going to do with that. I think they're putting a hole in the woods over there somewhere.
Yes, they're putting a tee pad in the woods, and you shoot out into the valley there, and then up and over.
Yeah, I think that is the plan for that.
Okay, but is that done yet? Or
I don't think it's done yet.
Also, Anthony Bobby's gone. We can probably just go play it. No,
Bobby, don't watch this.
No, we'll be here, Bobby. No worries.
Sweet. Oh, Eric just said that's what he's doing right now. Is clearing that out.
Oh, sick.
Nice. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Sweet.
Hurry up so we can play.
Good to hear from
Please.
you, Mac.
We'll be there in a couple hours. I mean,
days or something.
Couple more questions we got.
Is the Vandal domey?
Not really.
I'd say like medium.
It's rounded.
More dome equals more glide. Yes, generally, but it kind of depends on the disc because the rim also has a good bit to do with that.
I don't know.
Smooth, we'll call it.
Antti Silvinoinen. That sounds like he's from Finland or
Definitely
something like
nailed
that.
it.
He says, do you think the EMAC Truth is similar to a Discmania MD3?
No.
Okay, talk about it.
The MD3 would be more similar to a Verdict. It's kind of a straight to overstable, where the EMAC is very straight. I'm not super familiar with the rest of Discmania's mid-range lineup, but I would say the EMAC is probably more like an MD2, I think.
Okay.
I know the MD is pretty straight to understable, kind of like an Evidence. So I think the EMAC would be more like an MD2.
Nice.
But the MD3 is definitely more overstable for sure.
The
Sweet.
MD3, I threw one like a couple of years ago. It felt small diameter too.
Huh.
I don't know
They
if
go
it
to
is.
180.
Yeah, so I guess,
They
but I
have-
guess that's
they
the
have
same
to
as a
be that
Verdict.
full,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff says, can my girlfriend wear whatever she wants while caddying for me? Jeff, not whatever she wants. No, I think caddies need to follow the same dress code as players do. So if that's an A tier or up, that you need to be wearing either a performance material shirt or a collared shirt. No cutoff sleeves for guys. What else are the rules for that? You always have to be wearing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And you, as the player, are responsible
Yes.
for the caddy. So if she shows up wearing like no shoes and a tank top or something like that, and she gets in
That's
trouble,
on you.
You could get DNF'd for that.
Yeah.
Also, I think for women the rule on sleeveless shirts is different. Like
Yes,
you
it
can't
is.
have torn
Yeah,
off
he
sleeves,
says
but
from
you can
there.
have like I know some golf shirts won't have
Sure.
sleeves there. That's fine.
Yeah. I like this. Legendary E says, did Rainn Wilson buy Latitude 64 and change the name to Mega Discs? I think this is funny. Makes me feel better. Thanks. So obviously referencing when Dwight from The Office takes Jim's desk and the other desk and creates a Mega Desk. Yeah. So anyway.
Office, I've seen that.
Subtle Office references, not lost on me, Legendary E. Thank you very much. Here's your internet high five.
I haven't seen The Office.
Yeah. Anyway.
Do we have more?
What's like a sidewinder? Probably Vandal, maybe.
Fury?
I throw a Fury in a similar spot. I think the Fury is probably a little bit more understable than the Sidewinder is.
What about like a hatchet or a stag? Maybe?
Vandal could be close, but I think it's a little bit more overstable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little straighter.
Our very own Isaiah Esquivel is in the chat.
Oh,
He says, "Do you know when the dynamic duel is coming out, Anthony?"
I believe early next week. I think.
Soon.
Did we say either Friday or Monday?
It's good.
One of
If you
those
don't
two.
know what the
Super
dynamic the
Yes.
dynamic duel is, it's when Eric Oakley was in town. Is that the one?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was. They did random flip doubles with Eric, Emac and Eric Oakley, and then Isaiah and
Paige Bierkes.
Paige Bierkes, yes. 2018 World Champion Paige Bierkes.
I don't want to spoil anything.
trademark ding.
But if anyone doesn't know Isaiah's good,
He's quite good.
you're gonna find out
Yeah.
that he's very good.
He throws very far.
Yeah. Paige Bierkes and I did the commentary for that just the other day.
Yep.
And so we enjoyed ourselves.
Oh yeah, 2018 World Champion Paige Bierkes.
Yeah. 2018 guy, Robert McCall. Man, that sucks. I thought about this for so long, and then I missed the opportunity on the commentary. So here I'm going to hit you with it as if it was happening on the commentary. I told Oakley afterwards, if I was on the commentary, that when we were introducing people, I was going to say, all right, so we got 4 incredible players here. Got Eric McCabe, 2010 world champion. We got Isaiah Esquivel, 2018 junior world champion. We got Paige Bierkes, 2018 female world champion. And we got Eric Oakley. And let's get to the action. I was going to hit him with it so hard, and I missed the opportunity, man. I suck.
I'll let you know that I wasn't as blunt about it, but Eric was made aware of that during the round.
Nice.
I was joking with him about something about how, like, he should be carrying Isaiah's bag because Isaiah's carrying him or something. And he was like, "Hey man, the kid's good," and I was like, "Yeah, he won Worlds, and so did they."
Yeah. What were you doing again, Eric? Or were you were swimming over at Ledgestone, or? Dude, that was so funny. Oh my gosh. I was walking around with AJ after my round was over. I finished way earlier. I just played not very good. But AJ was crushing it, right? And so he throws this nasty roller. He's killing the game. And we look out. And Eric's eyes are just barely over the water. Like, he's doing his
like
best
a crocodile.
he's doing his best to not be conspicuous because he doesn't want, like, he truly didn't want a bunch of people like overlooking at him. But then everybody looked at him. And then we made discs about it and memes. And
It was wonderful.
it was pretty good. I like this one. This can be our last one.
Our final one.
Closer.
Drew says, has DD thought about selling a beginner's kit that has 3 copies of a stable mid-range in 3 different colors so 3 people could go out and try disc golf together? Peer pressure works.
It's a cool idea.
It's not a bad idea. I like our starter sets the way that they are, so you could buy them for one person and they could go just be set up, or you could get 3 people and be like, all right, you get this disc, you get this, you get this. But I don't know, I like that.
Yeah.
That's the last question.
That's it.
Disc Golf Instrument
Cut 'em
Takeover
off.
completed.
Thomas says, "Don't worry
Taking
about
over.
Ledgestone. Danny finished way earlier than you."
Okay, first of all, hateful.
That's correct. But I also finished Ledgestone, and I don't know if you were there, Thomas. So.
Anyway.
All right. Thank you, everyone,
He
for
said
tuning
you
in.
weren't
We will be
there.
back next week with Bobby and Emac, likely.
Yes.
Not confirmed.
I'll
Up in the air at this point.
I'll probably still be here.
Probably Robert, but he's here
Well,
anyway.
Who knows?
So thank you for tuning in. And again, get all your disc golf questions answered at discgolfanswerman.com. Keep an eye on the Instagram page for the Disc Golf Answer Man questions to come out every Thursday, usually, if I remember to post it. And also Robert McCall's Physics of Flight.
Yeah,
episode
Thursday,
3.2.
3 p.m.
3 o'clock will be premiering there.
Be there. If you want to say nice stuff in the chat, that's cool. If you want to say mean stuff, I'll try to burn you like Danny. I don't know if I'll be good enough, but I'm gonna try.
I give that burn a B- anyway.
It was still solid.
not
Thomas
bad.
liked it.
All right, thanks,
You
Tom.
just said that part.
All right.
All
Hey,
right,
see you guys.
thank you. I gotta turn off the audio.